Bam!
Hello, and welcome back to the channel. Today I'm excited to share with you a tune for an American classic, the 1971 Ford Mustang Mach 1. This tune was built as a request for a number of the viewers on the channel and in our Discord, namely from those wanting to learn a bit more about how to tune high-power, front-engine, rear-wheel drive cars. Full details including tuning specs will be at the end of the video. So I chose the Mach 1 as the car itself is cheap and can frequently be found in the used car lot. That being said, this tune involves the replacement of nearly all parts and a number of permanent upgrades. I put just over $400,000 into this build, going full out to see how far I could push the car. I've taken the performance up to 700 performance points so it can hold its own as a credit earner. This particular car is tuned for the Le Mans track, but will work well on any fast track with sweeping corners and straights. Given the price, this build might not be for everyone, but it's unique and I can guarantee you it's a fun drive. While this tune is expensive, a single run of Le Mans will cover the entire build, giving you some variety in your credit earning and provide you with something a bit more challenging to drive. In terms of performance, this tune doesn't disappoint. The updated car handles great, has fantastic top speed, and still maintains that classic sports car feel, with just a bit of instability when pushed to the absolute limit. This current car is built with its original engine, but if you're lucky enough, you'll potentially pick up a Coyote 5-liter from your roulette tickets. Unfortunately, I haven't been able to snag the engine swap, but if I do, rest assured, I'll drop another video with the engine swap just to see how much better the car performs. So here's a quick summary of the Mach 1's heritage. The Mustang arrived on the scene in 1964 and was an immediate hit with its great performance, sporty look, and relatively low price. In 1969, the car got revised looks, which eventually led to the Mach 1 model. A third-generation Mustang, this car grew in size but kept its overall styling cues intact, namely the long nose and the short rear deck lid. This Mach 1 also featured the fastback lineup, or sports roof, which gave it a unique and distinct look. The car was powered by a number of engine options, including big block V8s, but the most common engine to land in the Mach was a small block 351 cubic inch V8. The 351 Mustang produced 299 horsepower, solidifying its space as a true American muscle car, and in its day, it was one of the sportiest and fastest cars on the road. So with that, let's get into the tune. Stat changes from stock are an increase in performance from about 440 performance points, that's before upgrades, to just under 700. Horsepower moves from 300 to 601, and weight now comes in at 2,634 pounds compared to the stock 3,560. Acceleration, top speed, and cornering are all improved. Permanent upgrades include bore up, stroke up, engine balance tuning, polish ports, high lift cams, a racing crankshaft, body rigidity, the wide body kit from GT Auto, and I've done stage 3 weight reduction on the build. Performance upgrades include fully customized suspension, fully customized LSD, front and rear aero options from GT Auto, full control computer. For this build, I added a ballast and a power restrictor, but to be fair, you don't need them. I'm just in the habit at this point of including it on my builds. Fully customized racing transmission, a racing intercooler, a supercharger geared for high-end torque, and the racing components including air filter, muffler, exhaust manifold, racing disc, brake pads, and clutch and flywheel. I also added a set of racing hards and softs, as well as intermediate and wet tires, just so I could fully test out the car. So in terms of adjustments, we lowered the body height, I increased the camber and toe angle, LSD increases to acceleration and torque to make the car more stable under load, I increased downforce to 48 in the front and 185 in the rear, I expanded the gearing, which I had to extend considerably as the car is nearly double the stock horsepower. For those of you looking to learn a bit more about tuning, front engine, rear wheel drive cars typically require a lot of effort on the LSD and the aero. Basically, your goal is to keep the back of the car planted while you apply acceleration. To do this, typically you're increasing the acceleration sensitivity and torque in the LSD and adding a bunch of rear aero. This car stock also dramatically understeers, so the suspension was adjusted to better allow turn-in and cornering stability. In this build, I focused a lot on making the car stable. It'll still kick out on occasion, but it's much more manageable. Further adjustments to the aero, LSD, or suspension could be done to make it even faster, but you're trading off that stability for performance. This will make this car a bit more unforgiving under load. So overall, these changes give the car a more aggressive stance. It allows it to enter and exit corners at a higher speed, maintaining traction through heavy acceleration and body roll, but the car will still break loose on long sweeping corners. The good news is it's a real easy car to recover should it kick out. Just ease off the throttle and you're good to go. This car performs well against grade 4 cars and has a strong acceleration overall top speed. I'd recommend while driving this one, you brake and accelerate in straight lines whenever possible. Another thing to note for this build to work on Le Mans, you need to watch your fuel mapping. The Mach 1 is incredibly thirsty, so if you're not paying attention to your mapping, it's real easy to run out of fuel with this build. You have enough in the tank at fuel mapping 6 to get 3 full laps without feathering the throttle much. This car handles great on dry roads, but it's absolutely horrendous on wet roads. So just be mindful of the weather and pit accordingly, and don't get caught on a wet track on racing tires. If you do, just pray you can make it back to tire swap before the race kills any traction. You're better to be prepared on this build and just play it safe in terms of your tire choice. So in terms of the race, I've been running this car, completing a full 3 laps on fuel map 6, pitting to replace tires and fuel up, running another 2 to 3 laps, again, potentially changing tires based on weather, then going near full tilt on the final laps depending on my fuel. It's been fun, it's changed on my credit earning, and overall the car is a blast. This car absolutely hauls in the later part of the race when you can drop the fuel mapping to 1 or 2 and open it up. I've consistently put down some of my best laps at Le Mans with this car when it's finally allowed to stretch its legs. So as much as it's important to monitor track conditions for all cars, having the right tires is absolutely make it or break it with this build. Again, you don't want to push the weather. I built this particular tune for racing softs, but you might want to consider running mediums or even hards just to save a bit of pressure. I tested both. I didn't see a massive increase on my time on softs, and by the end of lap 3 you're starting to lose grip on acceleration as the tires are nearly gone. I ran another 3 consecutive runs on Le Mans, on racing hards, and the car handles just fine. Whatever speed you lose on the lap time with a harder compound, you'll make up by being more consistent over the 2 to 3 laps you're out before coming in to refuel. If anything, I'll likely just run racing hards going forward. It does lower the overall performance points of the build, but it was still incredibly competitive and much more predictable and consistent overall. Like I mentioned, this car is good for multiple tracks, and this tune is super forgiving for a muscle car. That said, it'll perform best on open tracks with long straights and minimal corners. It does corner just fine, but you'll gain most of your time exiting chicanes and opening up on long stretches of road, so just be aware when you're running this car on shorter tracks, you'll need to adjust the gearing accordingly. This car is located in the used lot in GT7 and is available right now, so if you miss it, or if you're watching this video at a later date, don't worry, the car will cycle back into the lot. Just be sure to grab it when you can. It's worth it. This particular car was only $36,000. What we're not sure of is if the pricing varies due to mileage, so next time you see it in the shop it could be a different price. Either way, a single run of Le Mans will pay for it and all of the upgrades, so it's something any collector should add to their garage. I also picked up a second one just to store in case I eventually do get that sweet Coyote engine to swap in. In terms of livery, I tried to keep it very close to the original, but I did go for a bit of a retro mod look with the updated grille, front and rear spoiler, which I had to add for performance reasons. And I also opted for the grabber green to keep that era appropriate color with the original decals. I've widened the body, I opted for wider and larger wheels. The actual creator of this livery is on screen now. They were kind enough to build up the stock decal set and leave it unlocked intentionally, so you can just update the car to whatever color you want. Just a heads up, if you're adding front aero, you will need to delete their placeholder for the license plate on the other section of the livery. But overall, I think the build turned out great. It maintains that classic 70 muscle car look, and it hauls ass on the track. I hope you enjoy this tune, giving you a reason to get the Mach 1 out of the track, because it's a fun car to drive. It's got that V8 sound, and with this tune, it can actually be a viable credit earner. If you enjoy these tunes, please like and comment below. It greatly helps with the growth on YouTube and helps steer me in the right direction for content creation. If you're looking to connect with others around gaming in general, feel free to join our 22 Gaming Discord. We're a growing community of like-minded, mature gamers covering multiple titles. If you're looking to game with someone at any time, 22 Gaming has got you covered. As always, thank you for your time, and I'll see you in the next one.